Now, there's one man that celebrities turn to when they've been nicked for speeding. He's a lawyer with a 100% record of getting people off the hook. He agreed to let us spend a day with him so we could find out some of his secrets.
Nick Freeman is the hugely successful defence lawyer who has represented the rich and famous, getting them cleared of motoring offences where they could have been banned or even sent to prison. He came to prominence representing paparazzi chase David Beckham and soon after defended fellow footballer Lee Bowyer. He's been tagged as Mr. Loophole, using gaps in the justice system or mistakes by police to help win his cases. We've been given unprecedented access to his daily life, so we can find out a bit more about the man himself and the way he works. We were immediately encouraged to hear, like the rest of us, he loves cars.
Being enthusiastic about cars helps my work in the sense that when I'm doing a speeding case, or you understand braking distances, you understand acceleration, you immediately have a knowledge. I mean, I look at car magazines all the time, so you pick up snippets there, but it's just understanding the performance of cars and how they operate and the braking systems. It's all very useful because often you're against the prosecutor and they really haven't got a clue about cars, and I find that must be a huge disadvantage for them.
Every day, Nick is in a different part of the country dealing with a new case. We caught up with him in Manchester as he headed for court to defend a client facing a charge that could see him banned from driving for 3 years.
Well, I've got a drink driving trial today. The case is listed for trial, and it's an allegation involving a car accident, and the defendant refused to provide a specimen of breath and refused to cooperate at the police station.
The police believe Nick's client was driving drunk at the time of the accident, but as Nick pointed out, they can't prove it. So instead, the defendant faces the lesser charge of failing to provide a specimen. However, that could still result in a ban, particularly as he's been down this road before.
His situation is aggravated by virtue of the fact that he has a previous conviction within the relevant 10-year period for doing exactly the same thing, which isn't going to help him at all. If he comes out of this with a 6-month ban, he's done exceptionally well, and we take that now.
Now it's down to Nick to work his magic and try and get the ban for as short a time as possible. We waited outside for the verdict.
The magistrates found special reasons, which meant that there was no endorsement, no disqualification, and we were awarded costs out of central funds in relation to all the other allegations, which were dismissed today. So really a very good result.
Extremely delighted with the result, and obviously also very thankful to Mr. Freeman for all the time and effort in preparing the case for me today.
Good luck.
From staring down the barrel of a certain ban, 90 minutes of Nick Freeman negotiations have got the defendant cleared and even managed to get his costs paid. So what is it that makes him so good?
What I do is I try and acquaint myself with the law and use it to assist my clients in getting acquittals. That coupled, of course, with advocacy, and sometimes police officers aren't always that truthful. Sometimes they are, but if they're not, I like to think that we will discover that in court.
Ronnie O'Sullivan faces up to 6 years in jail if proved guilty, but today it was the behaviour of a magistrate that caused controversy. Nick Freeman, for the defence, asked William Ralston, the chair of the magistrates, "Did I just see you wink at the press?" "No," said Mr. Ralston. Mr. Freeman said, "I distinctly saw you, sir." Mr. Ralston replied, "Why would I wink at anyone? Do you think I'm gay or something?"
And of course, at the retrial, with Mr. Freeman on his side, you can probably guess the verdict. Ronnie was proved not guilty. One characteristic of Nick Freeman is his willingness to pursue an unusual and last-minute defence strategy. Prior to the case, he'll prepare 1 or 2 arguments, but admits 50% of the time he'll win with something thought up on the hoof.
I was doing a drink driving case, and I saw this officer and he was chewing something. I said, "Officer, are you chewing gum?" He said, no, I'm not. Instant reaction, no, complete lie. I said, officer, you are chewing something. And then he said, well, it's medicinal. So we explored it a little bit further, and it was in fact airwaves. Not prescriptive, not medicinal, simply bought it over the counter. That was the end of the Crown case. Nothing to do with the case at all, but it was his credibility, and the case was about his credibility. Was he true in what he was asserting? Well, here was something. He was in the cold daylight of a courtroom, being watched by magistrates on oath, and he couldn't even be truthful about whether he was chewing something or not. And when it was obvious he was, he lied about what it was. So in the early hours of the morning in a car park, can you be sure what this chap says? I don't think so.
It almost seems a given that if you have Nick Freeman on your side, you'll get off the hook. But is it moral having drunk drivers and speeders on the road who have been cleared using loopholes in the law?
People are always questioning the morality issue, and it's a fair point. And on a moral basis, I suppose you could say that anyone who drives in excess of the prescribed limit is morally guilty. Anyone who speeds is morally guilty. Anyone who causes death by dangerous driving is morally guilty. That applies to the whole spectrum of criminal activity. And I wouldn't argue with that on a moral standpoint. But I'm a lawyer. And Parliament has put laws in place. We're entitled to defend people. The system is the Crown have to prove their case. And what I do is I look at what the prosecution are trying to prove, and I'm basically putting them to prove, can they do their job properly? If they can, then the defendant will be convicted. If they can't, the defendant will be acquitted. That is the system. That's what lawyers do. I don't have a difficulty with it.
Recently, he launched a scheme offering a cheaper alternative to his hefty fees, which offers access to solicitors trained by Nick himself, who can give legal advice 24/7. Nick's high-profile clients and track record have resulted in all the trappings of a millionaire lifestyle. But his working life will continue to become more difficult because eventually loopholes get closed. Although you can't help feeling he knows where the next ones are going to be.